Hey, what's up? Today is Saturday, the 26th of April 2025. I believe today has been 1 year since I officially started flight training. I'll have to fact check that, but I know for sure it did happen on an April in 2024. So almost a year, if not over a year, if not exactly 1 year. And like I always say, it's just getting started. Today was flight number 42. It was a quick cross country over to Ian Fleming and back, but let's talk about it more on the drive home. So it would have been a little over a week now since I last flew. Of course, that flight was flight number 41 in the Cessna 172, doing some circuits to get familiar with the aircraft, because that is going to be the plane I do my instrument rating on. That did go well. I think this flight went a little better, but it's kind of unfair to say that because today's flight was on the 152, which of course is my baby girl, the plane I first learned to fly on, so the plane I have most of the experience on. And the story behind how this flight happened is pretty impromptu, pretty unexpected. It was last night, the 25th of April, and the chief instructor had given me a call and said, hey, we have this free slot. Do you want to fly tomorrow for time building? And I said, absolutely, absolutely. And that's how I ended up flying today. Now, since I'm now a private pilot and these flights are time building flights, the destination that we can go to is really up to my discretion. I could choose to play it safe, go to Vernon Field, or I could be on the more daring side, go to Ian Fleming or go to Ken Jones. And those are the ideal options, mostly because we're actually able to land there. So not only are we able to log the flight time, that would be probably a little longer than going to Vernon Field, or maybe a little shorter now that I think about it. But not only do we get to log the flight time, we also get to log an extra landing. And while I don't think that total landings account for anything when it comes to license requirements, I know for sure that it counts for something when it comes to proficiency. Because as I noticed today at Ian Fleming that, hey, flying into this airport is a lot different than flying into Ken Jones. It's a lot different than flying into Sangster, than Manly, than Tinson Pen. Boscobel or Ian Fleming coming from Tinson Pen, so flying directly over midfield and then joining a pattern, is what I would confidently describe as my most challenging approach. And I realized today that I was very much unsure about my terrain clearance. So what I made a note of is that I need to look back on my map, look back in the simulator to experiment and see what exactly my limitations are. That level of uncertainty led me to flying possibly longer than necessary downwind leg, or potentially a shorter than necessary downwind leg. And then because I knew I was looking over and I just see these houses on a hill, and I'm wondering, am I really able to turn and make it onto and establish myself onto base then final with those hills right there? Because not only do you have to be lining up for the runway, you also have to be in a descent. And I know that I was already feeling pretty uncertain about my current altitude, which was much higher than the altitude I would have been at on a base or final leg. So there's a lot of uncertainty into that first approach, which then led to me flying a very high approach on final. And as soon as the chief instructor had pointed it out to me, I was like, okay, I'm not even going to try and save it. I was thinking that maybe I could save it. Maybe I would have entertained the idea a little longer if I was by myself, I'm not sure. But as soon as he brought it up, I'm telling myself, okay, go around. So I did a go around, came back again. Once more, I was still uncertain about my altitude and when I should turn for base, because obviously I'm not going to be able to review what the actual limit is in the short span of a go around coming back in to land. But I said, all right, I'll just stop the base leg short, because if I fly the base leg to where the extended runway center line would be, I know for sure that I would have been over hills. So I told myself, all right, I'll cut it short, fly closer towards the coast, and then when I'm more confident, I'll start easing my way into final. I did just that, then came in nice and soft for a smooth landing at Ian Fleming, which, now that I think about it, probably has my highest amount of soft landings, which is kind of funny because at Ian Fleming is where I also have the most go-arounds now too, if you ignore Tinson Pen where we're doing training go-arounds. Yeah, after a quick turnaround, we were back on the runway, backtracking runway 9er to take up back off and head back towards Tinson Pen. Now, most of the flight was pretty uneventful, and what I'm noticing is that I'm going to really have to try and record as much of these flights post training as much as possible, because since debriefing them is going to more than likely be uneventful until I start doing my instrument training, it's better to just show you the actual flight itself. Unfortunately, I do have today's flight recorded, and I'll definitely try to make sure I get the rest of them recorded going down the line. Coming in back to Tinston Pen, there was a nice little crosswind from the right, so I got to practice my crosswind techniques once more, and I have to say it felt pretty good, or at least it felt adequate. Was it the best crosswind landing? Not necessarily, but you can just for yourself when the flight video for that eventually gets uploaded. That pretty much covers up this very normal quick hop to Ian Fleming. Thank you so much for watching. If you made this far in the video, remember to subscribe to the channel so you can learn more about becoming a pilot in Jamaica, learn more about my journey. If you have any feedback, leave it down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like as well. Once again, thank you so much for watching. My name has been Robert Watson. I'll see you again very soon. God bless.
Yeah. I only tell you the truth. I ain't got nothing to lose. Yeah. I gave my life to God and I'm still ballin'. Ain't nobody that can tell me I ain't all in. Late at night I hear the devil steady calling me. That's when I pray to the Father that He give me strength to fight these monsters.